I'm alright. I'm alright,
Excellent.
brother.
Excellent. Hold on a second. Oh, we're live already. Jesus Christ. I didn't think it was gonna go on so quickly because I was still waiting for it to fucking appear on the screen. But we're live. There you go. Welcome to the very first fucking hell. What a great start that is, eh? Welcome to the very first FPL war. It's me against you, big man. I'm Stel. He's Dan from the D&D Footy Factory. This is our first, the inaugural FPL war show. We're going to be talking nothing but FPL. Wow, it's been. Do you know what? I never thought it will come a day where you and I will be doing an FPL show, man. It's crazy.
Well, gotta move with the times. Still. This is what it's all about. It's progressed a lot. It's grown so much in the last few years. That it's life. It's life for some people. So you got to fit in with what's going on.
Well, this is it, bro. You know, to be honest, I'm not gonna lie to you. This is gonna be the first year I'm actually gonna try with this thing. Because previous years I've started and I'm like, I can't be bothered to make changes and that kind of shit. And then obviously we had, not last season, but the year before when COVID struck, there was games every fucking day. And I just couldn't keep up with it. Players getting injured, players
getting injured, players missing games because of COVID, fixtures getting moved, manipulated because there was no fans present, they could just move fixtures when they wanted to if another fixture was called off because of COVID or whatever. So
it was a fucking European games and everything.
Very hard season.
It was literally one after the other, man. That's what it was, and it did my fucking head in. So hopefully this season it's not going to be anywhere near as bad as what it was. Hopefully we'll have some normality. And I'm definitely going to stay on top of these things because, like I said, I've been fucking shit. So first of all, before we go into this, talk to me about your FPL experience, bro, because I know you've been writing about fantasy football for a hot minute.
Yeah, just a little. I scanned the market a couple seasons ago, actually, because I've been playing it the official. I've been playing fantasy football for at least 10 to 12 years, but taking it seriously only really in the last 6 years or so, from playing the official FPL one, because I used to do the Sky one, and I think there was one with Betfair or one of those things back in the day, and then started playing the official one in the 14 to 15 season. I think it was either 13 to 14 to 14 to 15, and then preferred that one before I knew that the Sun were a pagan newspaper. Played the Dream Team one back in the day, but then once I realised everything went through in regards to the whole Hillsborough and whatnot, left them alone. Strictly official FPL, and because it's fair, because it's just on the league. Other ones do like points from Europe and domestic cups and that, which doesn't make sense to me. So just scanned the market basically and saw people giving a lot of advice and whatnot, but it was kind of more serious. So a few seasons ago, I started a blog, the Fantasy Football Files, just a little satirical satire, sarcasm, just a more laid back kind of FPL review. So I'll just comment. It's a review mainly on my head-to-head game because we've played in a head-to-head league, which you have joined this season for the first time, and so it's just my matchup. But then there'll be other things in there, like I'll talk about players or why I'm picking certain people because of set pieces or whatever, kind of like the stuff we're going to get into here on FPL War. So yeah, it's a fun little read, usually no more than about 5 minutes, and that's on my blog page, danzigzags.co.uk. After every game week, within about 24 to 36 hours after every game week ends.
Consistency, mate. Consistency. That's what it's all about, bruv. And we have to be consistent when we're doing this. So we're going to try to do this every week on a Thursday. We're also going to try and keep our squads up to date. And unfortunately, because we won't really know too much about injuries and all that until the Friday, innit? Because Ben Dinnery is fucking hot on this shit. And he puts out...
We don't everyone to know our inside guy.
No, listen, Ben, I spoke to Ben today, and unfortunately, because we were recording so late tonight, he couldn't jump on, but he's willing to help us out. You know, top bloke is Ben, and I've known him for many years now, and you know, we've done shows together on FPL in the past. So I'm very, very confident he will jump on board with us sooner or later and help us out. But yeah, so Ben usually releases the information on the Friday, doesn't he? After the press conferences and all that. So we're good. We're going a day before, so we're not going to be completely up to date by the time A, this is released, and by the time B, we do it. But you know what? Fuck it. Let's go right into this then, bruv, because I've done my team. In fact, I've changed my team, I think about 7 times since I've started. And do you know what? I think it's just like a paranoia more than anything, because like last night Fofana picked up this really bad injury, broken leg, whatever it was.
Oh yeah, Fofana,
yeah, and that's it. That he's a steal at £4.5 million, and I thought, let me replace him with Connor Cody, and then I thought, I think Wolves might actually go down this season, bro. I'm not convinced with their manager. I'm not convinced with their manager. I'm not convinced with the new goalkeeper they got from Olympiacos in Greece.
Jose Sarr, don't rate him. He used to be at Porto, and we tore him a new one. He's not on Patricio's levels. When you go outside of the Alissons and Edisons, and probably some would say Castro Schmeichel as well, Patricio is one of the better goalkeepers in the Premier. Well, obviously Martinez now. Patricio is one of the better goalkeepers in the Premier League, so that's going to be huge, because they last season were not as tight as at the back as they were. So that's kind of drifted me away from getting Cody in, but we'll see, because he's a decent price. He's a solid price, Cody, and as club captain, he's going to start every game. So you know, even if they concede, you're going to get points for something, just because the things with defenders that even when they lose, if they continuously make interceptions and blocks and clearances off the line, defenders can still accumulate points that way in FPL. So that's worth bearing in mind.
Yeah, but you know what? I've taken Cody out, and like I said, I've changed my team about 7-8 times, and this season I've gone primarily with players who I know will start the majority of the Premier League games. Yeah. Injury permitting, obviously, in suspensions. Let me show you what I've got so far, because I'm probably going to change this again. All right, so here we go. Drum roll, please. For the first time, I'm going with a fucking 4-4-2. Can you see that?
Yep.
Yeah. Yep. So I'm going with Edison in goal. That's a given. I doubt he'll be dropped or rested for many games. He's the main man for City. Today I made the changes. I put Kufau in because I know he's going to be a regular.
He's in my team, and he was brilliant last season. He was probably best right back in the league last season.
There you go. I've got Target in, and don't forget I haven't put these in like fullback order. I don't give a fuck if they're centre backs or fullbacks, but I know that Target.
That doesn't matter with fantasy football. That doesn't apply.
This is it.
All my defenders are fullbacks.
There you go. So Target has come in. I know he had a really good season last season.
Yep.
And I'm pretty certain he's going to be a regular for Villa. And the two central defenders here, Ben White and Tierney. Ben White's transfer fee, you can't turn it down at £4.5 million. And you know he's going to play every game because...
You're doubling up on Arsenal.
Yes, I am.
Wow.
No European football. Yeah.
Wow.
Tierney's going to get assists. I'm pretty certain of that. White has to play every game. He's their most expensive defender, is he not?
Mm-hmm.
So he's going to play, as you said. And I think he's more of a better option than Connor Cody, unless Cody moves to Spurs, which I'm not really going to discuss right now because I don't know the facts. But you look at my midfield, I've just gone balls deep because all 4 of those players, they're going to play week in, week out, aren't they? Salah, he'll probably get 20, 25 goals this season. Mm-hmm. Maddison with the assists, I doubt he'll go to Arsenal. I really doubt he'll go to Arsenal. If he does, I'm taking him out because there's no way he's going to do as well as he did at Leicester last season if he goes there. Mason Mount, he's going to play practically every game because he's a golden boy, isn't he, at Chelsea? And Jadon Sancho, like, he's got to play every week. Okay, I'll give him a bye if he doesn't play the first game because he hasn't had the preseason yet, but he's going to come in. And then Martial, I've chosen him. This is last chance saloon for Martial, I think, this season. With Rashford potentially out for a few months with an operation. I think was it a shoulder injury or something along those lines? I'm not sure. Martial will start either wide left or through the middle. Cavani had a 5-week holiday, so again, he's not going to be fully fit. And Mikel Antonio, you can't, rule him out. He was fantastic for West Ham last season, so that's what I've got so far.
It's just injuries, but when he plays, he's usually worth a goal contribution. If he's not scoring, even if it's like a fantasy assist where he hits the post or the keeper saves it, then someone knocks a rebound and you get an assist for that for FPL. So yeah, as long as he's fit, Antonio is very useful.
I've got a message in the chat. I can't bring up, unfortunately, because we're using Zoom. Because still, as an obvious Arsenal guy, I can't back our defence. That midfield is an abolition. You must be talking about the Arsenal. You must be talking about the Arsenal because he goes, motherfucking Xhaka and El Neni. Sorry, bruv. Yeah, but you got Lokonga. He's a pretty decent player. I think he'll do well. Anyway, but so my subs, I'm pretty pleased with my subs. Sanchez will play every game, won't he? For Brighton.
Yep, he's in my squad.
There you go. Cavani, he'll get goals this season for sure. Phillips and Llorente, I can't see them sitting on the bench for Bielsa. So this is the first time I can safely say I'm really confident about this team. Obviously, it's early days.
So there might be some transfers.
Yeah, exactly. So on first viewing, be honest, is it a decent team?
Oh no, it's a very solid team. It's a very, very solid team. You know, me, obviously, and anyone who has read, obviously, what the aforementioned fantasy football files, I've just got this thing where I can't celebrate certain teams getting points, so I don't pick. It used to be a lot more teams, but last season I got sucked in for using one or two Everton players. and bar Luca Dean, they did absolutely nothing. Sigurdsson, nothing. There was a week where we spoke about Ben earlier, reported on Everton's team, and Ancelotti was talking about how he was going to use Josh King. So I drafted in Josh King for a double game week. He didn't start either game. But, so yeah, killed me. But no, it's a very, very, very solid team that you've got. And as you said, you smartly picked people that are going to play. Koufal's going to play all the time for West Ham. Obviously, with them being in Europe, though, there might be a couple of league games that he might start. Is it Fredericks? The guy they used to be at Fulham that they've got as well?
Yeah, the fullback.
Right back, yeah.
Yeah.
A couple of games. As you said, T, the only problem, gets injured a lot, but when he plays, great player. Ben White, I hear you. And obviously, with him being versatile, he might play at right back, centre half, or even centre mid, because he's played in all those positions for Brighton last season. So yeah, youthful player, useful to get in. Target was brilliant last season. Got a lot of FPL points. Salah, like last season was the first time I started the season without Mo Salah. And he scored a hat-trick on the opening day. So I was just cheering, obviously, because my team Liverpool winning. But I was like, oh, man. Because the thing is, as well, if I used him on the opening day, I would have captained him. So, but I had my best start ever last season anyway. And then I faded away. Maddison on set pieces. Good thing. Salah takes penalties, so that's important. Maddison takes a lot of Leicester set pieces, so as long as he's still there, he's going to get points. Mason Mount takes some set pieces for Chelsea. He's got an eye for goal. He can assist. He's going to get points. And I see that you've got the captaincy on him as it stands, or vice captain, or for just in case anything with Salah. Sancho, he's going to play, even if Rashford was fit, he would like he was going to play. With Rashford being out with this surgery, whatever side he's used on, Sancho is going to get minutes. As you said, maybe not in the first game, but then after that, he's going to be getting good minutes. So then, Martial, I'm not a Martial fan, but as you said,
well, neither am I, bruv. But
the thing is, I used to be, but like too long now. He's been at Man United 6 years, and people talk about him like he's some baby, like he's like 20 or 21 years old, and yeah, potential to come. He's not that as young anymore. Antonio, as I was saying earlier on when you first mentioned his name, they manage his minutes, and with them being in Europe this season, we'll see. I'm very tempted, but obviously because he did so well last season when he started, his price has gone up. But yeah, it's a very solid team. I've got Sanchez in my team. As you said, Llorente and Phillips are going to get games. Phillips obviously takes a lot of lead set pieces when Rafinha's not on them, so he's gonna get points. So yeah, it's and obviously Cavani gets goals. As you said, you don't know whether or not he's going to start the season or not, but Cavani gets goals, movement, assists. He'll win penalties and whatnot as well. Good player. Very, very surprised you haven't got Bruno in your team, though, given the fact you're a Man United fan.
Yeah, I think the less I say about that, the better, to be honest, bruv. I didn't want to overload my team full of United players. I like to spread it around because I know, obviously, Fernandes is going to get games, but then again, how much does he cost? I haven't even looked at the thing, man, to be honest. So,
I think he's like behind Salah and behind like the Salahs, Manes and De Bruyne's. I think he's the third or fourth most expensive midfielder, Bruno.
Well, I've got a message here. Havertz is needed for FPL goals and assists as Chelsea's current number 9.
Yeah, he'll play as a false 9. That's a good one. Quite a few people I know have got Kai Havertz in their team.
But does this all depend on if Romelu Lukaku joins Chelsea?
Yeah, it does. It does a lot.
Can you imagine if he joins? I mean, he's definitely. I'm reshuffling my team to get him in the team. To be honest,
Menace. Easy.
Well, this is it, man.
Lukaku. This
is it. So, what's your team looking like at the moment, or can you not share this information?
My team, no, I don't mind because that's the whole point of thing anyway. When I do the what's it called?
You can send it to me on WhatsApp. I can put it on the screen somehow.
When I do okay, right. When I do the fantasy football files, that is what I do. I bait up the selections and why I picked each player. There's always a method behind the madness. That's the whole point of it. So I bait up myself anyway. So I'll send it to you.
Nice one. Well, look, in the meantime, while you do that, I'm looking at the players that are available on this game, right?
Yeah.
And if you want to talk about value for money, if you look at, say, the £4 million players, there aren't that many available that you could say, yeah, they get me a lot of points. But then if you look at, say, for example, last season, it's got a list here, Manquillo, £4 million, got 28 points. Now, that's not a massive amount, but if you've got a squad player that is going to get games from now and again, and you need that 0.5 million to bring in another player, that's not bad. That's not bad business, is it? Really?
Nope. That's you've got to think like that. I'm one of them people where sometimes I shoot myself in the foot though, because when it comes to goalkeepers and defenders, I like to have people that I think will at some point get some minutes, even if they're my backups.
Right.
So sometimes I put a keeper in goal, and then the one that I've left on the bench saves a penalty or does something, and I'm left crying. But that's that type of thing there, considering how cheap Manquillo is. Those are the type of ones you need to look for if you want to have that money there to get as many premium players into your team as you want. That's what you've got to think about. There's my team as it currently stands. I did have St. Maximin when I showed the original one I had. I did have St. Maximin in there. And
because we were talking about this the other day, weren't we? And we're saying his injury record isn't
Yeah,
isn't particularly good.
Because he picked up a knock, I've downgraded to Troy Deeney.
Hmm.
And then at the back, I had Junior Firpo in, but Firpo took a knock or something like that for Leeds. Something's happened to him. So, because I downgraded from St. Maximin to Deeney, which saved me $1 million, I was able to get Ruben Diaz in because I reckon he'll be like he was last season, the main centre half that plays all the time. I had for City, I had John Stones for a lot of last season, but and he got me quite a few goals as well, considering he's a centre half. But I think Laporte might feature a bit more this season. So I think Diaz would be the one if I do keep it like that, because I'm sure there's going to be a lot of transfers in the next week before the deadline to make changes. Goalkeepers, as I was saying, I like to have two that can play. Martinez, when I finally got him in last season, even when he didn't get a clean sheet for Villa, he made a plethora of saves that got me points. Sanchez, you've obviously got him as well. Solid goalkeeper, worked his way into Spain's squad for the Euros. And Brighton actually have a decent start to the season with their fixtures. So that was why I've got him there. So though I've got both of them, I'm probably going to use Sanchez more because they start the season with Burnley away, Watford at home, Everton at home, Brentford away, home to Leicester, and then away to Crystal Palace. So I think there's a couple of clean sheets in there for Brighton. Robertson and Trent is always the dilemma I have at the start of each season. I might change because I've got 0.5 million in the bank and have Trent in because both of them take corners and free kicks. Trent is better shooting than Robbo is, but last season Liverpool's attacking players wasted so many chances that this season I think Robertson's going to get more assists. Then I think he got 6 or 7 last season. I think he'll be back getting double figures again if he stays fit. Though Tsimikas, as long as he stays fit, is going to get a couple of league games to keep Robbo fresh for Champions League. Veltman was brilliant last season. That was a shrewd purchase by Brighton, getting him from Ajax because he had like a year left on his contract. So I don't even think it cost £1 million. And he'll play centre back for them or wing back because Tariq Lamptey would have been my original pick, but he's going to miss the start of the season through injury. Kufal, as I said, you've got into. We already spoke on Diaz. Salah, I've started every season. I've had him in my team since he signed in 2017, bar the start of last season. He's been in my team the whole time he's been at Liverpool. Could be a very frustrating player, waste some chances at times, but he's on penalties as well. And he's one of the people that when he's flowing, he flows. He'll bag you 2 or he'll get a hat-trick. Jota as well, my guy. I'd love to be able to fit Mane in too, but he's so expensive. Jota will get goals when he plays. Son's there for now still, but he could come out because with Grealish signing for City a couple of hours ago, I might look to get in Bundia because I know he's going to be on the set pieces now with Grealish gone, and that would save me about £3.5 million and allow me to replenish other areas of the squad.
I'm really interested to see how Son is going to be utilised at Spurs because we've seen him under Pochettino and Mourinho in a wide position. Doesn't really go too central to start with, but his runs are always diagonal. More often than not, they're diagonal runs.
Yep.
But under Nuno, who's mostly using like a 5-3-2 or a 5-4-1, with 2 men in behind the front man. I think that might be the system that he goes with, but I think, in all fairness, mate, it all depends on Harry Kane, doesn't it? What happens with Spurs? Because right now they're like, what the fuck do we do? Do we sign players? Because they haven't spent any money, really, have they?
Well, they're about to get Romero, aren't they?
The defender
for 50 odd mil from Atalanta. Which
I'm
annoyed about because Atalanta are my Italian team, but
and he's a superb defender. But that's just one player. That's just one player.
They got Gill. They got Brian Gill, didn't they? With money in a swap for Lamela. They'll do more business. I think Nuno is going to use Dele Alli, so he's cheaper than Son. So that might be a decent. To get that. I think you'll raid Wolves as you do as well. You think Cody may be at the back. There's already been Adama Traore talk. You might even look for Neves and put him with Højbjerg, because those two midfielders at Wolves that he had, it was a lot of the time it was Neves and Martino, but sometimes when he wasn't playing him at centre half, he'd put Dendoncker there. So I can see Tottenham raiding Wolves for one of those players, and then Wolves, with the links that they have, will just go in and probably get another Portuguese guy to fill the void. But yeah, Son will be an interesting one. We have to see with Kane. I want to have Kane in my team, because if I don't have Kane in my team, he bags. But if he goes Man City, he'll play. He's obviously going to play like 95% of the games. But I just feel that time where I start him, he's either going to come off the bench late on, or he's not going to play, and then I'm going to be annoyed, because if he does come off maybe 5 minutes, then and get 1 point, and then someone I had on the bench is going to do bits. That's just the fantasy football life that we've chosen.
That's just this is it. And speaking of choices, bro, there's a question here. Why have you chosen 4-4-2, not 4-3-3? I mean, I was going to ask why haven't you gone 3-5-2? Because I'd be tempted to put Veltman on the bench and stick Souček in the middle of the park. But why have you gone 4-4-2?
Yeah, because this is probably going to change again. I did that 4-3-3 because up front I had Tony, Bamford, and St. Maximin. But yeah, just because I just got Deeney in, he's on the bench currently. It probably will end up going back and being a 3-4-3. But yeah, as you said, that's the reason why I'm thinking of maybe getting Bundia in, because I wouldn't mind having him for the first game on the bench and then having Souček in there, because I think Souček will probably bang against Newcastle, because he didn't do what I thought he would do in the Euros. So I think he's going to have like a really good start to the season. But yeah, this is like my second or third draft. It will probably change because there's still over a week until the deadline. But at the moment, that's how it stands. Because whether they win or not, I think Tony will bag against Arsenal. And yeah, Bamford, and same with Bamford. Whether they lose to Man United or not, I can see him scoring. That's why he's there.
Yeah, and you're sitting there talking about Tony scoring against Arsenal. I'm sitting there thinking, well, Arsenal got Ben White here, So,
so you're like, I think you're saying, but I don't want it to happen. But, the problem with Tony though is that they think he's going to do a Bamford, don't they? Because I looked on, and half the people I know that play FPL haven't even done their teams yet. When I put Tony into my team a couple of weeks ago, he already had like 33% ownership. I'm like, God damn. It's making me reluctant now, because I'm trying to get those early season differentials and then plug the guys in that I know are going to get points to maintain the sort of lead that I had at the start of last season.
But the thing is, do you think Brentford have got enough going forward to create opportunities? When teams get promoted into the Premier League, it's a completely different animal to the Championship. They come in with their tails up, and in the first 3 or 4 games, they start off well. Then they get their asses handed to them, and they end up bottom 3 for the rest of the season, really.
I hear that, but because Tony takes pens, that's why I'm trying to stay optimistic on that one. But we'll see. It may
but you have to get in the opponent's box to get a penalty, bruv.
I think they're going to cause a few surprises. A lot of the people think they're going to go down. I think they're going to finish 15th or 16th.
Yeah.
Personally, a lot of people have resigned them to. They think the 3 that are coming up are going to go down. But I'll tell you what. Usually with FPL, my team is listed with Southampton players. But now Ings has gone to Villa. That changes things. I usually have Carl Walker-Peters in there and James Ward-Prowse. And the thing is, with Ward-Prowse taking free kicks and penalties, he'd be a lot cheaper than having that Son out there. Now I take Son out, and that allows me to do madness. So I will see. And what called the problem here, though? So Maxim I had for part of last season, but he was a midfielder then. But the huge one here is that Stuart Dallas now is down as a midfielder, which is his natural position. But obviously, before Leeds came up, Bielsa used him sometimes at fullback, which is why obviously they had him as a midfielder. As a defender last season, though he played 90 to 95% of Leeds' games, either centre mid or out wide. Well, that's what his natural position, isn't it? That he plays for North London as a winger. So that will be an interesting one, because last season he was like John Lundstrom a couple of seasons ago for Sheffield United. they played in midfield, but they were down as defenders, and they were just accumulating points. Like it was crazy.
Do you know what? When you look at the players available, because obviously we all do this. We have a rough idea of which players we want, and then you look at their values, and you're like, "Fuck, why?
Yeah.
Like, why?" But I'll tell you what, Dallas
seasons.
Dallas at Leeds, £5.5 million.
There you go.
171 points last season, man.
There you go. Yeah,
171 points.
But a lot of those were clean sheet points because though when Leeds conceded, they conceded 2 or 3. Meslier kept a lot of clean sheets. So obviously with Dallas being a defender, he was getting the goal or assist points along with the.
Was he a defender last season?
Yeah, that's what I'm just saying.
On this,
yeah, on here.
Oh, they put him into midfield now.
That though he was playing midfield, he was. That's what I'm saying. It's like Lundstrom 2 seasons ago at Sheffield United was down as a defender, but he played all their games centre mid. So Dallas will get nowhere near that amount of points this season because he's not going to get the clean sheet points. Going from a defender, you get what? 4 clean sheet points. Midfielder, just 1. So if he even touches 100, you're laughing.
Yeah, absolutely. And you mentioned Ward-Prowse earlier. Fucking hell, man! He got 156 points last season.
Yeah,
he got more than Sterling, Mount, Souček, Mahrez, De Bruyne. That's incredible. Zaha.
And the other thing is as well with Ward-Prowse, he gets booked a lot, but somehow him and Højbjerg were the only 2 players in the Premier League to start all 38 league games and play every single minute in the season. So when you think of all the yellow cards Ward-Prowse got to still deliver that many points, because bookings, cautions affect the bonus point system. So to accumulate that many points is ridiculous.
So out of all the players that you've seen, which one would you say is a bargain for what their value is?
Possibly Dallas. Because obviously I think Brentford have got not a bad start to the season. Someone like maybe Rico Henry for them. Aja, they've just bought from Celtic when he gets going because he can play defence or midfield. Could be useful. I think I've already mentioned Bundia, and with you set piece of whatnot, 6 might not be bad. But yeah, Brighton, I think that there was a lot. I think once Tariq Lamptey gets fit, then they can shuffle and get Veltman at centre-half. I think the likes of the Tariq Lampteys on the right, Dan Burns going to play left back, or he's natural position in central defence. I think teams like Brighton could be targeted. Masuaku at West Ham, because Cresswell can play centre-half obviously as well, and Masuaku gets forward well. So those type of teams, those are the ones I would say to target. Crystal Palace as well. Now Van Aanholt, I think he's gone on a free to Galatasaray, which means Tariq Mitchell is going to be their first choice left back. He's like 4.5. When I started him last season, he got a good amount of points for me. And in the 1 week that I benched him, he got his first goal for Palace at home to Villa, and he got an assist in that game as well. So I think Tariq Mitchell, Guehi, who they've just got in as well, Joachim Anderson, Palace have got. So target Palace, but a few games in target them, because their start to the season, they got Chelsea, not great. Brentford home, that's a decent fixture. Away at West Ham could be all right, but then they got Tottenham. So,
yeah.
But look at the pairs later on. And maybe Watford. Watford's start to the season isn't that bad. They've got Villa, but that's at home. Then they got away to Brighton. Then they're away to Tottenham, but then they're home to Wolves. And then they've got away at Norwich and home to Newcastle. So with the fact that Dini's on penalties, that's why he's on my team. He might be able to accumulate some points. If they keep hold of Sarr, Ismaila Sarr, he could get some points there. And Watford, I'm sure they just bought what's he say from Werder Bremen, the The Bosnian.
Oh, now you're asking a question. Yeah, I don't know.
Bosnian. Wait, give me 2 secs. I'm sure they've got in the Bosnian guy for Werder Bremen who I rate. 1 sec. Oh, or was it Norwich? But in terms
Your guess is good, mine, mate.
obviously, you spoke about so it was Norwich that got him, not Watford. Rashica,
Right.
Werder Bremen, and he's a baller. So players like that. So Norwich as well, but obviously Norwich play Liverpool first. So again, maybe a few games in because the start might be a bit. But
well, this is you just mentioned that game, right? Do you think that's the perfect game to put Salah as your captain? Because when you look at the fixtures on the opening day, United, Leeds, you can't really call that one.
Yeah.
Burnley, Brighton, again, similar. Chelsea, Palace, you'd have to put Chelsea favourites because Palace are practically a brand new squad. But again, you don't know what to expect. Everton, Southampton, Benitez's first game. Are they going to be on the front foot?
Southampton weaker. So you think Everton would win. But the first day of the season's an anomaly.
Yeah. Leicester, Wolves.
That can go either way. You would think Leicester should be winning, but that could honestly go either way because Wolves, we'll see how much minutes Jimenez gets. But with Fofana out, is he going to try and put, because that gives them a problem in central defence now. So he might try to play one of the fullbacks.
He's got Evans and Soyuncu, hasn't he? Unless he plays 3 at the back.
Yeah, unless he goes to 3 at the back. So obviously they've got Bertrand now. So yeah, he might move someone more. He might put Ndidi there. If he does go 3 at the back, he might play Ndidi at centre half. So yeah, we'll see there. But yeah, first day, a lot of those games there, anything can happen. A lot of them sound like draws on paper, to be honest.
Yeah, I don't know. It's just one of those where you look at the fixtures, and if you were to do your accumulator, you're looking at Liverpool to win away from home. The way that Spurs are at the moment and City going there opening day, you can't see past City. Chelsea at home to Palace, and maybe United to beat Leeds purely because of Jadon Sancho. But
yeah, I think if he starts, but I think United will still concede even if they win.
See, I'm just looking. I keep looking at this squad of mine. I'm thinking, well, if Connor Cody does go to Spurs, which is a possibility, I'd be tempted to put him in there, especially with Romero coming in. But it's interesting to see how much Romero will cost because he's a solid central defender.
Yeah.
But Lewis Dunk, man. Lewis Dunk at £5 million after last season getting 130 points.
Absolute bargain. That's what I was saying earlier about Brighton players. That's a bargain because Dunk, he gets booked a lot as well, but threat set pieces. He'll probably get at least 5 goals this season, and he'll be one to get flick-ons in the box and whatnot. So whether or not it's a proper Opta registered assist or a fantasy assist with him being the last Brighton player to hit the ball, whether or not he hits the bar or the keeper saves it or whatever, Dunk is a bargain.
So is there a player that you think is going to stand out? And I don't mean the obvious, like your Harry Kanes, etc. Is there one where you think kind of is going under the radar at the moment and maybe not many people are picking them?
Recently looking, a few more people have got him, but Jack Harrison is permanently a Leeds player now. He got a lot of points last season. Don't sleep on him. I was just going to say Norwich, Todd Cantwell. When they went down, sometimes he didn't start, but when he did, goals and assists, and he's only 5.5 million. Rashika, who I was just mentioning before, is only 5.5 million as well. So these are players that could get points. And Billy Gilmore on loan from Chelsea there is only 4.5. Don't really see him scoring, but with his passing ability, he might be able to, for like through balls, etc., might be someone that might be able to accumulate some bonus points and be useful to have as a cheap person. I'd say.
So
yeah,
when you look at like, I mean, I'm looking at like someone like Reguilon. I think he's only been purchased by 2.6%, and he'll be left wing back, I believe, anyway. For Spurs, I can't see Ben Davies coming in. And then you look at Ndidi, you know, 5 million quid, 1.1%. Thiago, 5.5 million, 1.1% people purchase them. I mean, it's absolutely incredible. Yarmolenko, £5.5 million, 0.4% of people have been signing this guy.
This is the thing, but it depends on the minutes he's going to get, because we all know about that left foot, but we don't know how many minutes. We don't know how many minutes he's going to get, because when he came to West Ham, that would have been something I would have immediately have been thinking to have in my team at the price that he would be at.
So, are you surprised that Aubameyang is over 10 million quid?
Nah, because though he's actually gone down, because he was more expensive last season, but obviously they balance the value in terms of what their productivity over the season. So people last season that helped me out, that were decently priced, Maddison, who's in your team, Harvey Barnes, because of the seasons they had, like I think they both got 9 league goals. Their values of 9 league goals each, their values have gone up. My other team, because I do this thing where I pick 2 teams. Yeah, Dunk's in this one. To some extent, some people for their premium defender might think Cancelo is well priced at 6 million, because though for a defender that's quite hefty, when you think that Trent is 7.5 and Robertson is 7 million, if you were to take one of those out and get Cancelo, and you're getting someone that makes a lot of tackles and interceptions for Cities, has an eye for goal and will assist. The only problem is it's Pep Roulette, isn't it? No one knows what 11 he's going to name. I've actually had 1 week where I didn't used to pick Man City players a few seasons ago, but I had 1 week where I had 3 City players in my team, and they were all on the bench for the double for the first of a double game week.
And that's mad, bro, because like he's brought in Grealish for 100 million, and you're still thinking, is he going to play like every
That's what I'm
game?
saying. I brought up a post on our Insta earlier, and the first comment someone said, yeah, of course he's going to play, because 100 million. But I went through the City team that I would play with the fact of the form Sterling was in the Euros, and there was no Grealish in it.
Well, they spent how much on Nathan Ake last season?
40 mil. Unless they play as a false 9, which has worked for them. So it could be De Bruyne or Foden they use as a false 9. Even bloody Gundogan could play there. But in saying that as well, the way Grealish plays and about free kicks he wins, he could play there. Because City get goals from anywhere. It doesn't have to be down the middle. The cutbacks, the diagonals and whatnot. So even Grealish could play as a false 9 if need be.
Yeah, true.
Because people forget that he's obviously naturally a 10. It's just that the way Villa played him from a couple of seasons ago, off the left, cuts inside, gets fouled all the time. All the time.
Yeah. Do you get points? Do you get points for being fouled though? Do players get points
if they score directly from the free kick or penalty?
That'll be on De Bruyne, wouldn't it?
So De Bruyne scores the pen. Grealish gets the fantasy assist. not an optim-registered one, but yeah, it all counts as fantasy football. But look at, when you think of this though, with the ownership that Salah has, Salah always is around 50% ownership. Sadio Mane, after how poor he was last season, with only 9 league goals for a man that's been competing for the Golden Boot for the last couple of seasons, Sadio Mane is only owned currently, I'm sure it will be a lot different within the next week, he's only currently owned by 3.6%. That could be an early season differential.
What about Ferran Torres then? Because you look at that City midfield that we have on the FPL. You've got Grealish,
he could play full side, as we were just talking about. He could play full side. Ferran Torres is actually a very good finisher for someone that doesn't play centrally, who's a winger or inside forward. But yeah, this is the problem I'm saying though with Pep though. It's Pep Roulette, as all fantasy FPL players will know. You don't know what team he's going to name. Otherwise, I'd have Ferran Torres all day. He's what, about £7 million? He can finish.
Yep. There you go. All right, dude. Well, look, is there anything else you want to touch on before we wrap it all
I'm
up?
trying to think in terms of obviously another one guy who will be on set pieces, but his price has gone up because he had a decent season last season. Jared Bowen is only owned by
Yes.
2.1% currently, and he's only, I say only, he's gone up, but he's 6.5 million, which is a decent price for you to still squeeze in premium players.
Yeah, but you know what, bruv? What I will say, now, it's like a running joke on this podcast or on Shoot Defense anyway. And I speak to Rodri and Steve Eyre about this. I'm like, well, when the fans weren't in the stadiums, West Ham were doing really well because they didn't have them on their back. But now that the fans are going back in, that London stadium, Moyes is fucked. He's fucked.
Yeah, they're gonna come if they lose a game. They're gonna come for Sullivan and
Dildo brothers
and Gold again. Dildo brothers. They're gonna come for them. Try trash the stadium.
Well, so there you go. What do you do? And these are other factors that I'm looking at. I mean, okay, fair enough. I know I put in Kufau and Antonio, but I know that they're both going to perform. Do you know what I mean? Even if the team isn't doing well, they're going to perform.
They've got a number of useful people. Fabianski's a useful keeper. And then even
they've signed Areola though, haven't they?
Yeah, but then even they've got Areola in to give him competition, and Areola is a good goalkeeper. We've spoken about Kufau. Cresswell's going to be on set pieces. He's going to start literally every game. Aaron Cresswell. Ogbonna is cheap and gets the odd goal from the set pieces. We've spoken about in the midfield about Souček. Just spoke about Bowen. Shame we've not got Lingard this season. And then obviously up top, Antonio, you've just spoken about Yarmolenko. So they've got numerous different people that could be factors, and they're all reasonably priced. Talking obviously as well, as you said about the bargains, Ethan Pinnock will play you, because obviously your formula is picking people who are going to start. Ethan Pinnock at Brentford will start all their games at centre half. He's only 4.5 million. So I'd say him or Rico Henry at the back. They're going to get turned over by Liverpool in their first game. But I think Krul might have, I'm sure I heard he had a knock. Angus Gunn, who they've just got in, Brian Gunn's son from Southampton, he's only 4 million. So that could be a useful goalkeeper in the early part of the season. But yeah, there's different options. I say look around at teams' fixtures and then target people who you think you can use in the first 5 or 6 games, and then that should resist you from having to use your wild card really early on, because some people I see use their wild card, their first one anyway, in the second or third game of the season. I'm like, man, you didn't even let your team flow for a couple of games to see what's going on. You want to try and resist losing as many points, obviously in the first part of the season, but don't draw for that wild card too quickly. There's not going to be as many double game weeks as last season, so picking your triple captain is going to be a crucial thing. Bench boost too is going to be vital. But I preferred the old one that they had. I'm not the biggest fan of the free hit chip. I preferred when they had all out attack. That was one of my favourite chips, because then you have those games where you've got you think all your midfielders and attackers are going to flourish, and you don't want to leave anyone on the bench. All out attack allowed you to do that and only use 2 defenders. I preferred that chip. Don't know why they changed it, but such is life. So it's stress though, man. It's stress. If you're not willing to keep tabs on your team on a daily basis, look out for transfer news. You mentioned Ben earlier. Listen to press conferences or read up when need be. If you're not about that life, then you might want to consider whether you want to get involved or not. It'll be easier than last season. Last season was the hardest season ever in FPL because of the reasons you mentioned earlier about COVID and the postponements and that. But you've got to be very tactical, especially if you're playing head-to-head. They're in my head. We're in 2 head-to-head leagues. You're in my one, which is a money league, of course, as well. So if money does not drive you to be more determined and efficient, then
I'm actually more determined just to stop D-Man from fucking chatting.
Yeah, well, he won. The joke is the inaugural Justice League. my pay league, my boy from school, my brother Andrew won that. And then the second one, D-Man won last season's one at Akantar. So he's running his gums already in our FPL group. Don't know.
I heard him on the show. Listen, I heard him on the show the other day, and he was like, I won the FPL league. I won it with my relatives. I won it at work. I won it with my church. I won it with this. I won it with that.
I won it with my own youth club I used to go to. But the funny thing is, and Sam backed me on it as well, when I was running amok at the start of the season, because like for the first 10 to 12 games, I accumulated the most amount of points I ever had, and I was far at the top. FPL talk on the D&D Footy Factory was about 90 seconds. Once he started becoming top, he would go through all the results and all the leagues. It would take up about 8 minutes, and then you wonder why there's barely any time to discuss the other topics. Chris Wilder got sacked. They spoke about it for about 1 minute because man wanted to talk about how he's top of every FPL league under the sun. I saved my gloating for my statuses, and I know people will probably muted me, you know.
Do you think that he's gonna win it again this season?
Well, he's the favourite. He's 2 to 1 on. He's the Black Pep. They call him Black Pep.
Oh boy. I'm gonna have to come and do do David Moyes.
He's the favourite man. Like head to head makes it much more interesting, because when it's just normal scoring, once you get off to a lead, it's very unlikely you're going to be finished lower than second or third. Head to head keeps you involved, and also there's a prize in my league as well for having the highest score in a week in the season. So that keeps you, even you could be bottom of the league, doesn't stop you from getting the highest score. So it should keep everyone involved until the last day of the season, hopefully. So, well, not hopefully, it should do if they're being serious about and if they value their life. So it's gonna be interesting. But yeah, it's all about strategy. Don't draw for them chips too quickly.
Yeah. So it's the Justice League that obviously people have to pay for, but I also have the No Chofters League. So there you go. And we have, how many people got in this one? All right. Let me have a look. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, I think it is. I'm not going to count it again. I think it's 17. So it would be great to have one more person in there just to make it a nice 18. And we've got Marko Shepovic, who plays for Omonia, which is a fucking honour.
Jeez.
I love the guy. Love the guy to bits, man. He's still convinced that Timo Werner is going to be banging in goals this season, but
I think he will. I don't pick Chelsea, Man United, or Arsenal players, but I think Werner will have a good season. But even if not, he's a good fantasy player anyway, because he wins penalties and he gets the fantasy assists as well as like the proper assists as well. Obviously, you get that for a penalty anyway, but he has shots because of his wild finishing. He'll hit the post, or the keeper will save it, and someone else will not the rebounding. So he's still useful to have.
Absolutely. Well, look, someone's asked what league is that? It's just a head-to-head league that I've created. So if you want the link, I don't know how to contact people. I guess if you're on Twitter, give me your Twitter out and I'll DM you the invite and you can join, and then I'll close it so that we can have just 18 people. Mm-hmm. And then, that's it. So, bruv,
20 in mine.
That's it. And that's it for another episode. Well, I say another episode. It's been the first. So hopefully we'll do this every week, every Thursday night. Work permitting, obviously.
If it's not Thursday, then it will still be squeezed in because I do usually do any other ones on a Thursday, but if we will get them in weekly.
There you go. And it's a good reminder for me to change to do my changes. At least I'm like, I did a podcast last night. Now I can change my players.
Yeah, trigger. Yeah,
I don't need to put a reminder on my phone anymore.
That's the whole point of the fantasy football files as well. There you go. Because if you bother to read it, then you're going to be aware of the deadlines are and other changes and whatnot. But yeah,
voila.
Strategic. It's not always about. And consider whether or not you want your bench to just be cheap people to give you more for your first 11, which means if there's any injuries or anything like that, suspensions, then you're screwed. Or if you want it to be competitive, so if someone wasn't to start, just say you've got Man City players in there, Pep Guardiola does a Pep Guardiola, then there's someone off the bench to come in there and can still plug that gap, still get you points.
There you go. See, words from the expert. Although next time I think we should get D-Man on just to hear the chat.
Yeah. I told him. I told him, and he's down. We'll get him on there.
Yeah. Hear a bit of his mouth. Let the listeners hear what he's all about, because you get it on a Saturday morning. Hey, do you know what? He might let it out on a Thursday night, and then you'll be all right for the Saturday morning.
Nah. He reveals his team unless like we have an exchange of voice notes. He doesn't like to reveal his team.
Okay.
I don't really
pussy.
I don't really no, but you have to be strategic, because otherwise someone will then make the changes to level up with you. So if your differentials don't come through, then you won't win your head-to-head games. That's the whole point. That's what I'm saying. Strategic. Okay. If you're just doing a normal point scoring league, not as much of a worry, but otherwise you gotta keep your cards close to your chest. Otherwise your opponent might try.
This completely defeats the object of what we're trying to do, then, doesn't
it? Unless they've taken too much of. But that's why I'm giving tips of players that I wouldn't pick. I'm still informing, because like obviously you've shown my team there. Other weeks I might not be so.
Well, there you go. There you go. Hey, listen, as you said, you got to be strategic, man. And listen, this is the first of many. It's going to be fun. Someone's asked D&D Footy Factory ? Yeah, the D&D Footy Factory is the podcast or the show, the radio show that you do on Top FM every Saturday morning, 10 until 12. Yep. I don't listen to it on the FM. I listen to it on TuneIn Radio.
Yeah.
But if you want a replay, we have it on Shoot Defense. So just go to iTunes, Spotify, Google Podcasts,
and it's on our
Heart Radio, whatever.
Yeah, and it's on our sound. Oh, you want Heart Radio now? So brilliant. And it's on our SoundCloud. So yeah, you can't.
No excuse not to listen to it.
No excuse. It's on every platform.
Yeah, so just even Google D&D Footy Factory, and then you'll get some links.
The shows will come up. So
there you go.
D&D Footy Factory or D&D Football Factory, wherever, and you can catch it.
Lovely jubbly.
Yeah.
So there you go, Mr. Domina. It's absolutely been brilliant. First podcast wrapped up. Would you want to plug your shit before we end it?
Whoa, you've just done the product integration, Uncle. You've just done it right there.
Okay, what about your socials then? What about your socials? Come on.
At double D DUBULDEE. And the show is at DD Footy Factory _ That's at DD D for Delta Footy Factory _, and that's the same on Instagram as well.
Splendid.
It's 10 a.m.
Excellent. Well, that's it for our first episode of FPL War. I've been Stel, he's been Dan, Double D. So until next time, ladies and gentlemen, be smart. Don't spend all your money on Harry Kane.